Welcome to Monday Morning Leadership from Express Employment Professionals. Most companies don't have a succession plan for managers and leaders when baby boomers move out of the workforce or lessen their workloads. As a result, more workers are being promoted into management positions before they are ready or have had management training. Express wants to help alleviate this problem by offering basic supervisory and management training to all levels of leaders. This training program is based on the book Monday Morning Leadership by renowned author, speaker, and business owner David Cottrell. The book shares the story of a manager struggling to increase his team's performance. An experienced leadership mentor offers him insights into improving his own management skills, leading to higher team achievements. He learns about 8 key areas of leadership, which we will discuss in detail. The 8 leadership insights are: 1. Become a driver. 2. Focus on the main thing. 3. Escape from management land. 4. Follow the do-right rule. 5. Hire tough. 6. Do less or work faster. 7. Be the chief bucket filler. 8. Enter the learning zone. The first step in improving your team's performance is to move from being a manager to a leader. Many managers are simply passengers along for the ride. A leader, on the other hand, is a driving force in a team and in an organization. So how do you make the transition from manager to leader? The first step is to accept total responsibility. You control the success of your team. Pointing fingers or blaming the circumstances doesn't help anyone. Once you accept responsibility, you will try to come up with a solution to the problem. Being a driver means not only taking on the benefits of being a driver, but the responsibility for yourself and your passengers. You can't act the same way you did when you were a passenger. You have to focus on the road ahead and on the safety of you and others around you. Secondly, leaders try different activities to get results. You can't continue to do things like you've always done them if you want to grow. For example, part of becoming a good leader is to stop participating in employee pity parties and gripe sessions. When leaders complain about top management, employees lose faith and don't have the motivation to grow. If you are too much of a friend to employees, they will stop viewing you as an authority figure. However, at the same time, managers need to have a positive relationship with team members and want employees to be able to come to them for advice. In addition to improving relationships with team members, leaders know to keep the main thing the main thing. The main thing is the number one goal and focus on your team. To focus on the main thing, you have to determine what the main thing is. The main thing might be to increase sales, satisfy customers, or retain quality employees. You may have 1, 2, or even 3 main things, but the important thing is to stay focused on what is most important. Some managers operate in constant crisis mode and rarely focus on the important tasks. They're too busy to try to fix every problem that pops up. This usually leads to taking care of all the low priority tasks and not spending time on the main thing. If you're like many managers, you've probably had a lot of days where you come to work gung-ho to work on a high-priority project. Then you sit down and an urgent email pops up. So you answer it, thinking it's just one email, and it is urgent after all. While you work on it, others start popping up. Then an employee stops by your office to tell you about the disaster that's affecting a project. While you're handling that, another department head calls and asks for some information, which of course he needs right now. Next thing you know, it's 5 o'clock and you haven't touched the project you needed to work on. Determining the main thing and getting all team members on board helps prevent these crisis moments and makes it easier to focus. When people come to you with something that doesn't fit the main thing, you need to explain that it is a lower priority and should be taken care of later or passed on to someone else. Remember, most people leave supervisors, not companies. If you spend your time putting out low-priority fires instead of working with your team, your best people will leave. Of course, to truly focus on the main thing, not only does your team need to agree on the main thing, your boss also needs to agree. While sometimes your boss might be the one to identify the main thing, at other times you will need to proactively approach the issue. True leaders lead not only their employees, but their boss as well. Sometimes your boss might be the one who is working in crisis management mode and doesn't take the time to lead or guide you. Rather than complaining about it, lead up. Learn what your boss's main thing is and how you can help him focus and reach his goals. The third leadership insight is to escape from management land. In management land, managers assume they know what their employees are thinking. However, managers' perceptions of their employees' opinions are often vastly different from what the employees really think. You can begin to escape from management land by talking to people who have recently left your team. These people are more likely to be honest now that they have no stake as a team member. Second, meet with your team to get their perspective on what areas within the team need improvement and what's working. Explain that you're trying to improve the way you lead the team and can't do that without honest feedback. Third, identify your falling stars, middle stars, and superstars. Teams typically consist of 30% superstars, 50% middle stars, and 20% falling stars. Superstars are the very best at their jobs. They take initiative, perform quality work consistently, and need very little supervision. Managers usually go straight to superstars when they need help with important projects or need something done quickly. Middle stars may lack the experience or knowledge to be a superstar yet, or may have been superstars who lost their drive or motivation. For example, they may be new to the team and not have the company knowledge they need to be a superstar. Or they might have been a superstar but had to do so much extra work to cover for the falling stars that they got burned out. Falling stars are those who do as little as they can get away with. Managers often find themselves avoiding giving work to these people and having to pass their work on to other workers. They put in just enough effort to get by, but you'll rarely see them going the extra mile. This chart shows the typical distribution of people on a team. Where would you say your minimum acceptable performance level lies? Actually, the minimum acceptable performance level is at the bottom of the 20% category. Because you are choosing to let falling stars stay on your team without improving their behavior, you are telling them and everyone else that their behavior is acceptable to you. You may even be rewarding these people by passing their work on to your superstars, yet still giving the falling stars decent reviews and raises. To help you see if you've been doing this, divide your team up into 3 categories. Then go through their personnel files. Do their performance reviews and rewards match up with how you categorize them? Are you rewarding the bad behavior of your falling stars? Are you punishing your superstars by making them do their jobs plus the jobs of the falling stars? You'll also want to look at who you spend the most time with. Most people spend a lot of time working with their falling stars and ignoring their superstars. This often causes superstars to feel overlooked and unappreciated. Even though they are doing their job well, they still need feedback and can benefit from additional training and guidance. The fourth step in becoming a better leader is to do right by others. Remember, a leader is a person others want to follow. To achieve long-term success as a leader, you must guard your integrity and do what is right, even when no one is watching. When you have a leadership position, more people are watching you than you think. If they see you act without integrity, they will lose respect for you and may eventually stop following you, or they too may begin acting without integrity. As a leader, you have to focus on what's best for the long-term success of the team. It's easy to achieve short-term success. If you drive people really hard for a while by threatening them and making them work long hours, eventually they'll burn out and probably leave. Long-term success requires more careful planning. However, as we discussed earlier, managers often find themselves in constant crisis management mode. To help alleviate that, develop action plans for the various fires you may face. Cottrell uses pilots as an example of good crisis management planning. Pilots have a contingency manual that details what to do in every possible situation that could go wrong in a plane. This way, when a crisis occurs, they simply refer to the manual and act, rather than waste time pondering what to do. Of course, no amount of planning can account for every possible situation. Former New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani also speaks about the importance of planning. Although he didn't have a plan together for what to do when two planes crashed into the World Trade Center, he did have a plan for responding to terrorist attacks, bombings, airplane crashes, and building collapses. He was able to quickly respond to the situation and successfully handled one of the biggest crises in North America because he looked at his existing action plans and pulled together the applicable pieces to create a plan in very little time. While hopefully your action plans won't have to be used for such catastrophic events, they will help prepare you for handling more likely situations, such as catching an employee stealing or your computer crashing during a big presentation. The next leadership focus is one of the hardest: hiring and firing employees. Anyone who has ever had to fire someone knows how hard it can be. Usually the person being fired doesn't think you're justified in your decision and may argue with you. If you aren't prepared before meeting with them, this situation can get very uncomfortable. You can avoid that situation by role-playing the conversation with a trusted individual, either another manager or someone from HR. Role-play the various reactions and responses the employee may have so that you will be better prepared to respond. Being more comfortable with this process will help keep you from retaining workers that really should be let go. Of course, it's obviously better to hire right in the first place. You should have a clear expectation of the person you're trying to hire and the position itself. You should never lower your standards just to fill a position. This will only lead to a messy firing situation later, decreasing morale, lowering productivity, and wasting time and money. Hiring right the first time can be tricky, since it can be hard to get an accurate reading of a person during one short interview. Cottrell recommends the 3 rules of 3. Interview at least 3 qualified people 3 times, with at least 3 current employees present during the interviews. You should schedule the interviews at 3 different times of the day so you can observe the candidate during those various times. Of course, you can make this process a lot easier on yourself by letting Express find employees for you. All of our applicants complete a thorough selection process that includes interviews, reference checks, and testing so that you can take that leadership load off your shoulders. Letting Express save you time fits right in with our next leadership focus. Do less or work faster. Your time is your responsibility. Blaming others for taking up your time and having a bad attitude just wastes more time. While you can't control everything, you can begin to take more control over your time. Just realizing that your time belongs to you is a step in the right direction. You can begin by looking for small increments of time and grouping activities together. Simple as going to lunch early or late can save a lot of time, since you won't have to wait in line or fight traffic. You should also learn your biggest distractions. Maybe there's one person who constantly interrupts your work. Try to schedule a regular meeting with this person so they can save up their questions or issues for that one meeting. For interruptions you can't stop, try standing up when the person comes into your office. They will be less inclined to stay for long if they don't sit down and get comfortable. You should also rearrange your furniture so that it faces away from the flow of traffic. If you're constantly looking at people walking by, they'll be more likely to stop and chat. Also, ask your team what you can do to help them manage their time better. Finally, we have some suggestions for making meetings more productive. Meetings tend to be one of the biggest time wasters for most people, with the average professional wasting 250 hours each year in unproductive meetings. That's 6.25 wasted weeks for full-time workers. When deciding to hold or attend a meeting, first make sure that a meeting is really necessary. If the information can be covered in a brief phone call or email, there's no reason to call a meeting. Next, have regularly scheduled meetings only if necessary. If neither party has anything to report or discuss, cancel the meeting. When you do meet, cover the most important issues first. This way you ensure you have time to cover the main things. Make sure to start and end the meeting on time. If you start a meeting 10 minutes late with 6 people, you've just wasted an entire hour of productivity. Also, if you start on time and people show up late, don't recap what's been discussed so far. That's rewarding them for being late and will only encourage that same behavior in the future. As a manager or supervisor, you need to understand that your success is based on the success of the team. Your job is to help each team member improve their performance. Each person on your team has a bucket and a dipper. The bucket holds the person's motivation. Sometimes the bucket overflows, sometimes it's empty. Everyone also has a dipper that represents the cynicism and negativity that takes some of the motivation out of other people's buckets. As the chief bucket filler, your job is to keep everyone's buckets filled. So how do you fill your buckets? First, know the main thing and ensure that everyone else also knows the main thing. This gives everyone something to focus on, a reason for the work they do, and a guide for their performance. Second, you need to give continuous feedback to your employees. An annual performance review won't cut it. People need to have frequent feedback so they can adjust their performance as they work. If you don't provide feedback, your falling stars may assume their performance is acceptable and your superstars can feel unappreciated. However, when you give feedback, you need to make sure it's sincere, timely, specific, and in line with the employee's value system. Third, you need to provide recognition when your team or an individual performs well. Finally, you need to communicate the team's score on a regular basis. Your team needs to know how it's doing as a whole. Keep them informed of their progress and point out their accomplishments and areas for improvement in the future. There are a lot of different ways to recognize your team's performance and keep those buckets filled. And recognizing people doesn't have to be expensive. Simply involving people in big decisions can reward them for their performance and show that you value their opinion. Send employees thank you notes to their home address. It will be a nice surprise. You can also ask superstars to mentor your middle and falling stars. This will help the superstars improve their leadership skills and get a little extra challenge. Plus, it will help spur your other team members to higher performance levels. You can also create a library of learning materials, such as magazines, books, DVDs, etc., that employees can use to fill their own buckets. If you do have a little money to spend, providing lunch for the team after a big victory brings the team together in addition to rewarding them. Hosting after-work events with family members also rewards the team and brings the team closer together. You could also bring in ice cream to reward the team and give them a mid-afternoon pick-me-up. For individual accomplishments, gift certificates for a nice dinner out or a relaxing trip to the spa also shows your appreciation. Most people go through life living in the comfort zone. They do the same thing day in and day out. Leaders get out of the comfort zone. Pushing yourself is the only way you'll grow and become a better leader. You can get out of the comfort zone by entering the learning zone. The first step in entering the learning zone is to read more. Read about the topics you want to improve in, or about the people you admire. Most people don't read a single non-fiction book in a year. You may not think you have the time to read, but think about it this way. Could you spend just 10 minutes reading each day? Reading 10 minutes each day would equal about half a chapter. Since most books are between 12 and 20 chapters long, this would result in reading about one book each month, or 12 books in 1 year. Just imagine how much more knowledgeable you would be at the end of the year if you had read 12 books on topics such as leadership and management. The next step is to listen to others. Don't let your position give you an ego that causes you to stop listening to others. Listen to your people. Listen to outside speakers. You tend to listen better when attending events such as this, so make an effort to attend learning seminars and conferences. Also, use the time in your car to listen to motivational speeches or audiobooks. In addition to improving your own skills, you need to give back, mentor others, and pass on the knowledge you've gained. As you teach others, you'll refresh your own skills and get the reward of helping others succeed. To make sure you accomplish your dreams, you need to set goals. That's why we've provided an action plan for you today. Learning isn't going to help you much if you don't apply it to your life. Setting goals will help you to follow through. Finally, remember to stay positive. Sometimes this is hard to do when faced with all the bad things in this world, but studies show that people with positive attitudes are much more likely to succeed. It makes sense when you think about it. Who do you want around you? People who complain constantly or those who lift you up? Positive people are also more likely to achieve their goals because they believe they can. Negative people think they'll fail anyway, so they give up. Keep your bucket and your team's buckets filled, and you will achieve all your goals. Express is here to help you with all your supervisory, staffing, and HR needs. We can help you hire tough, find the right people, and retain your superstars. Thank you for participating today.